Hey guys, it is me, the Emerald Sword, and welcome back to another video, where today I will be reviewing The Talisman, written by Stephen King and Peter Straub. So, The Talisman is a weird one. Like, really weird. From my understanding, Stephen King and Peter Straub were like the two biggest horror authors at the time when The Talisman was written. And so, their fans expected them to team up to write the ultimate horror book. But instead, what we got was an ultimate fantasy book. And a lot of people like fantasy. I'm not big on fantasy anymore. I've made that clear when I was talking about fairy tale in my Every Book I've Read in 2023 video, and again in my Eyes of the Dragon video. So I'm not big on fantasy anymore. But a lot of people like fantasy, but Stephen King and Peter Straub are not known for fantasy, so having a fantasy book was really weird for them to make. So anyway, what is The Talisman about? So The Talisman follows 12-year-old boy Jack Sawyer, and he finds out his mother has cancer. So in order to save her and other things, which I will get to in a second, he has to travel all the way across the entire country. He's in New Hampshire, so he needs to go to California, get the mystical talisman, and then go all the way across the entire country again. So, yeah, this one kind of sounds boring, possibly, but I'll explain it. So, yeah, as I said, Jack Sawyer is a 12-year-old boy, and he lives in New Hampshire because he just moved there, and I guess they moved there because they were trying to avoid his dad's, business partner, Morgan Sloat, who's the villain of this book. Anyway, long story short, he finds them, and Jack's mother's also dying from cancer. So he's like, well, dang it, what am I going to do? And he has this friend named Speedy Parker, who I guess is like this, I think it's a theme park, janitor or something. And then he gives Jack this magic bottle that allows him to switch, or I guess flip, into this place called the Territories. Now, the Territories is like this alternate Earth thing. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but basically everyone has a twinner of themselves in the Territories. So Jack's mom, her twinner is Queen Laura d'Alessian, so that's why she can't die of the cancer, because stuff will go wrong. And Jack has a twinner named Jason, and Morgan Sloat, he has a twinner named Morgan of Orris, like stuff like that. You get it, like alternate realities where someone else is different. But anyway, so Jack goes on a very long journey, both on the Territories and in the U.S., to get to California, and he meets a few friends along the way. So this one time, he goes back to the Territories after he makes it to Ohio, I think. And then he meets this one character named Wolf, and then they get ambushed in the Territories and they flip, and then they're in Earth for a while. Or they're on the US for a while. So anyway, they get, I guess Wolf tries to get, used to American soil, but anyway, his freaking out at a movie theater causes them to get arrested, and then they get put in this place called the Sunlight Home or something. Yeah, some sort of home for boys or whatever. It's like Sunlight Home or something. Anyway, so soon enough, in true Stephen King and possibly Peter Straub fashion, stuff goes wrong, and Wolf gets put in a box, and Jack is getting tortured, so Wolf, just takes everyone out, but unfortunately is killed in the process. So, yeah, so keep in mind, this is, I think, 1 or 2 months into the trip. So, yeah, I thought it was going to be gone for a week, but, yeah, obviously it didn't take a week. So, anyway, after that, Jack just keeps hitchhiking because he's been hitchhiking everywhere across the country. And then he finally ends up in Springfield, Illinois, where he has a very good friend named Richard Sloat, who is the son of Morgan Sloat, who is the villain, which I found pretty funny. And then also stuff at Thayer's school, which is where Richard, I guess, goes to school. Stuff goes wrong there, and then they go to the Territories, but Richard just thinks he's just going sick and stuff. He doesn't believe in the Territories and stuff. And so they take a train for 2 days all the way from Springfield all the way to California. And so Richard's like, okay, the territories exist. And so here's where stuff gets interesting. So they finally make it to California, and they have to go to this place called Point Venuti, I think it's called. And the Talisman is located in this thing called the Black Hotel, which is another haunted hotel. So, like, if you know Stephen King, you know what that is, like the Overlook Hotel from The Shining, 1408, possibly 1922, but I don't know. Anyway, so it's an evil hotel with, like, guardians and stuff, and they try to stop Jack from taking the Talisman. But, of course, being the main character in a fantasy book, Jack stops them and gets the Talisman. And the Talisman is like this glass globe ball thing that has, like, lights in it. It's some sort of magical device, obviously. And so Jack gets it. He uses it to heal his friends and stuff. And, yeah, and also that gardener who owns Sunlight. Yeah, I forgot to mention him. He owned the Sunlight home place. Anyway, he tries to shoot the Talisman, but the Talisman, I guess, rebounds the bullet, and then it, like, messes him up, and then it rolls onto him, and then he dies. So, yeah. And then there's a face-off, and then after Gardner dies, of course, there's a face-off between Jack and Sloat, and of course Jack wins, and then hooray, the Talisman is his. So anyway, yeah, so he heals up Richard and Speedy Parker, who was also there, and then they go back into the U.S. They're in the Redwoods, and then they walk into the nearest town, and then they find one of Wolf's Litter brothers is there in a Cadillac, and then he takes them back home, and then meanwhile we catch up with Lily, who is Jack's mother, and she's not doing well. Like, the cancer's basically taken all the life out of her. And then there's a really suspenseful scene at the end where we think that, like, Lily's gonna die. Like, oh my gosh, did Jack get it in there in time? But luckily what happens is that the Talisman reactivates its power because it burned out a little bit. And so it reactivates its power and heals Lily. And Laura D'Alessian got healed too. And then that's where the book ends. What did I just read? That's probably the question you're asking me. What did you just read? And I'm asking myself the same question. What did I just read? Well, I read The Talisman. So obviously, The Talisman is quite a chunker. Like, look at that. The audiobook was about 28 hours long, about 28 hours and 9 seconds, I think. So it is quite the big book, and there's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of stuff that I can't even mention, so I'm going to have to tell you to read the book for that. But, like, The Talisman is certainly a weird book. Like, as I mentioned in Bag of Bones was a really weird book. The Talisman is a weird book as well. And I'm very familiar with Stephen King, of course, so I know his style and stuff, and there's certainly some aspects in there, but I've never read a Peter Straub book before this, so I don't know all the Peter Straub stuff. I don't know if his style is similar to this, but yeah, overall, I enjoyed the book, but it was really weird, and I will warn you that if you're not into fantasy like I'm not, you probably won't enjoy this as much, but I liked it. Yeah, what are you gonna do? But anyway, so The Talisman is actually the first of a series called the Jack Sawyer Trilogy. And normally I just kind of keep a secret of what book I'm going to read next. But since this is one, it's part of a series, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to read Black House next. And Black House is the second book and currently the most recent book in the Jack Sawyer Trilogy. And it follows I think a retired Jack Sawyer, like a retired police detective who goes to solve another murder case. So yeah, so obviously quite the time jump because The Talisman came out in 1984, and then Black House was in 2001, so obviously the time jump is there. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and yeah, I'd recommend it. I'd say read it. Read it if you like fantasy. Read it if you like Stephen King. Read it if you like Peter Straub. I guess it's a bit scary, but it's more so just fantasy than anything. But yeah, so anyway, I guess it's the end of the video. Oh yeah, not yet. So yeah, why is there no third Jack Sawyer book yet? I said it's part of a trilogy that hasn't been completed yet. Well, so after Black House, I guess the ending of Black House really really adds to the point that 3 needs to exist. And from what I can gather, Stephen King and Peter Straub have been planning on Jack Sawyer 3 for a long time, but unfortunately Peter Straub passed away in 2022, so fans started to think that maybe Jack Sawyer 3 wouldn't happen at all. But recently, Stephen King has said that he reread The Talisman and took notes, and he will begin reading Black House and taking notes. So I see this as a good sign. Maybe Jack Sawyer 3 will come out after all. And Stephen King said it's going to be a long book, which he is, of course, no stranger to. But anyway, if Jack Sawyer 3 ever does come out, I will, of course, read that and review it for all of you guys. But anyway, so yeah, now this is the official ending of the video. Go read The Talisman. It is an insane book, but it's enjoyable. And yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Be sure to like the video if you haven't, and subscribe to the channel if you have not. But yeah, anyway, I've been Ben from the Emerald Sword, and I will see you guys next time.